Good afternoon on your Wednesday. I'm forecaster Andrew, Fleck for Analyst, Weathercast. And I know I said this morning on my webpage that I wouldn't be doing an update till later tonight, but some room did open up on my schedule, and I'm going to explain two model runs that just came out this afternoon, both having the same amount of precipitation amounts, but in different spots. And this might be good for the Delaware Basin in New Jersey when it comes to not as much rain, but very, very close to call yet. I'm going to explain it with two models here, the European that you're seeing first, and second I'll show you the GFS, the American model. And you can see here the European is still going for the heaviest of rain over New York, central PA, eastern PA, and New Jersey, being in that 2 to 3 inches. Of course, the Euro has not changed. The Euro believes that the trough that digs behind that area is not going to be as amplified, so low pressure is going to be sitting here, and it'll be able to come just dead north and closer to eastern PA, New Jersey, and that's where the heaviest rain is going to be, and that is to the right side of that low pressure. So rather the trough is not as amplified, the precipitation is going to be more centered right of that low pressure, which is eastern PA and New Jersey. But the difference here is the GFS. It's got a lot more precipitation, and that is because of the more amplified trough. You can still see eastern PA, a few spots in there in 3 to 4 inches, and then a little further west of the Delaware Basin there is an area of 5+ inches, and again, that's just hugging west of the Delaware and New Jersey. And what the GFS is thinking is that this trough is going to be much more amplified. Okay, so now low pressure is going to be sitting here, and where the heaviest rain is just to the right of that, and that includes that area right there. So it's very close to the Delaware Basin, but just west of it. Now, of course, like I said, the GFS, well, both models, the GFS and the Euro, do have still 2 to 3 inches across the basin, but let's put it this way. There's a good chance that there's going to be action stage and flood stage for most of the rivers along the Delaware, probably into New Jersey too, especially over the Susquehanna Basin over central PA. But what would you rather have at this point? Major flooding where you're in the bullseye of 5+ inches, or maybe that flooding that only gets up to maybe moderate stage of only maybe outprinting 2 to 3 inches of rain? We all know that flooding is going to happen, but the question is, where is the heaviest of rain going to fall? And right now it's either going to be over eastern PA, centered smack over them, over that Delaware Basin, or just west. And I think it's going to come down to how amplified that trough is. Again, if it takes the European track, that trough is not going to be as amplified, so it comes up more like this. The low pressure centered here. Again, that heaviest precip is just to the right of the low pressure, and of course it would be over eastern PA, New Jersey, and New York. But if the GFS is right, what then eventually happens is you have a much more amplified trough that really digs, spawns up heavier precipitation, low pressure sits here, and you get all this precipitation to the right of it. But the one thing I will emit to you guys is that, again, probably tomorrow morning, afternoon, that's when the heaviest rain begins to come in to eastern PA and central Pennsylvania. But when the storm and the trough begins to amplify, that's when some of that precip that's affecting eastern PA and New Jersey begins to again amplify and comes back west. That's when it really hits for a few hours. But what has to happen is that precip that maybe trips a little to the west has to come back to the east. It has to pull out. As the old meteorological saying goes, what goes west needs to come east, especially in the northern hemisphere, and that's the idea we have. So although we might get some heavier rain into the afternoon and evening over eastern PA, and although the heaviest might surge a little bit to the west, probably still affecting the western Delaware Basin, the storm still needs then to end pushing back east. So you might go into a situation where heaviest is hitting you toward the afternoon and evening, then it starts to move west on radar, you can see, but then as the storm moves out, that precipitation that's west has to come back east again. So the only good thing about that would be a break, and if that break comes into agreement, then rather than 4-5+ inches of rain over the basin, you'd be talking about more of 2 or 3. Again, everybody's looking at that chance of flooding, but it comes down to now, is it going to be a historical flooding or is it going to be a general flooding case? Either way you put it, it's flooding, okay? So I hope this helped for this afternoon. I'll try to do another one this evening to see if the models are going toward that western trend or if they're going and staying with the Europeans' idea of eastward. Scary thing is if that doesn't amplify and that precipitation doesn't move a little west, that 5 plus inches would be centered right over eastern PA and New Jersey. So we'll know that definitely by this evening, overnight, and very early Thursday. So as of this afternoon, I'm forecaster Andrew Fleck for your Wednesday afternoon update.